We actually started about 5 years ago, launching some prototypes, moving down in this path because we realized that we needed a proliferated architecture, and we also needed the larger systems as well in order to meet our full mission. But I'll focus a little bit more on the proliferated architecture. We recognized that we had challenges, as we mentioned, with Russia and China trying to deny our ability to operate space. So that was one reason. The other reason we needed it is we recognized that we needed to have more persistent coverage of the Earth. So there's an open mic somewhere.
Yeah, excuse me, there's an open mic, if you could please mute.
So we needed to proliferate. Now that required us to really go off. If you're going to proliferate, you need to be able to get it down to a price point that is workable. So we started working with the industry, as I said, about 5, maybe 6, 7 years ago, to go off and do that. And we now have, a series or a few companies that are actually building, production spacecraft. So we've taken advantage of that, and we've partnered and gone out and worked with them to have the base for our proliferated architectures as we go forward. And that also means working with the payload providers so that we have a more manufacturable, cost-effective payload that still delivers the mission. We've been doing all of that, and we're now in the process of actually deploying those capabilities as we speak, and we need to go off and of course do more. We have more launches coming up and more development coming up as we go along. And just to reiterate, that doesn't mean that we're not going to be launching systems like we'll be launching tomorrow. We still need those capabilities in order to overall accomplish our mission. But you're correct. We are proliferating, and we're expanding our vendor base to take advantage of those more mass-produced spacecraft.
Talk about the trajectory for today's Falcon 9 flight. Of course, launching from SpaceX's active Falcon 9 pad here at Vandenberg Space Launch Complex 4 East. Once the Falcon 9 rocket leaves the pad, it will fly in a somewhat southerly direction. The path of that orange line there will be for the Falcon 9 first stage, landing on the drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You. Just a little more than 8 minutes after liftoff. This will be the 91st such landing on this particular drone ship and the 310th overall booster landing to date. Certainly is a busy time right now for SpaceX, as they are also in the midst of preparing for a couple of Falcon flights from here in Florida, a couple of Starlink missions heading up to low Earth orbit. Also, at the same time, they are tracking the 4th integrated flight test of their Starship rocket in southern Texas, with a launch date of potentially, and I'll throw a giant asterisk next to that, of June 1st. And we do have, and I will couch this in air quotes, views of the Falcon 9 rocket from Vandenberg Space Force Base, although it is very characteristically foggy as we head into the liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket. One last note on the NRO mission here. Dr. Troy Mink when he gave his keynote address at the 39th Space Symposium in Colorado, noted that this was the first of potentially, as he described it, quote, approximately half a dozen of these launches that are planned for 2024, with additional launches expected through 2028. NRO has not said any more about when these launches will be happening, but of course we will keep an eye on that when more details are available, and of course be here with you for live launch coverage when they happen. Now, T-minus 6 minutes, 51 seconds and counting. Do have confirmation that the engine chill down has started. It involves flowing a small amount of liquid oxygen through the plumbing and turbo pumps on the Falcon 9's Merlin 1D engines, thermally conditioning them for liftoff in about 6.5 minutes. Taking a look at the live chat, want to thank a few folks for their support tonight. Want to welcome Pikes Peak Aquatics joining us, the channel membership at the pad leader level. Same as Valerie Harris. So welcome aboard. Glad to have you with us. Our thanks as well to channel member and moderator Callistia Lee for gifting 10 Spaceflight Now memberships. Psycho Not for gifting 1. And Janine, who's been a member for 7 months, saying, thanks. I've never been disappointed. I really appreciate all of you here in our community. And I got a quick glimpse of the drone ship that'll be landing or getting ready to catch this booster about 8 minutes after liftoff. Also want to thank a few folks for super chats here in the live chat. Michael McRoy for $4 super chats across 2. Thank you so much, Michael. Different Michael Hildreth for a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Michael, for your support tonight or this morning. And I'm Lita, $5 super chat saying hello, Spaceflight Now family. Good morning to you, Lita. Also, point of note, because this is an NRO mission, there will not be views from the Falcon 9 upper stage, so they will land the booster and then we will cease getting views from SpaceX this morning. We do have confirmation that the strong back retract sequence is underway. It's going to be pretty tough to actually see it given all this fog. But the clamp arms underneath the payload fairings are starting to open up, and then the transporter erector, or the strong back, will recline about 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9 rocket. Now a little less than 3.5 minutes away from the planned liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket. Coming up next, we are expecting to hear the call out for first stage LOX load. The call should be coming momentarily. We did hear a call off for stage 1 LOX load complete. Now T-minus 1 minute 40 seconds, and we do have confirmation that second stage LOX load is complete. Falcon 9 is now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of propellant. Seeing a little bit of extra fog here, but that is not in fact fog. That is the ground gas closeouts. We're coming into the final count. Let's go ahead and listen in for that 1 minute call.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Great call out, which means that Falcon 9 is now on internal power.
LT is go for launch.
And there you heard the LT give the final go for launch. So let's sit back and watch.
Those final callouts were just about 30. Yeah, you heard it, 30 seconds away from the liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket. Systems appear to be in good order. The weather, while not great for visibility, seems to be cooperating for a liftoff.
T-minus 15 seconds.
15 seconds. So let's go ahead and listen into the final count.
T-minus
We'll see
10,
on the other
9,
side.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff Falcon 9. Go NROL-146. Vehicle is pitching downrange. Engine chamber pressure is nominal.
So at T plus 30 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 4E and throttled down to prepare for max Q at T plus 1 minute. And max Q is the moment in flight with the highest amount of aerodynamic pressure and stress on the vehicle.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
That call out, the Falcon 9 now traveling faster than the speed of sound. A good liftoff here, a little more than a minute into flight.
Max Q.
There we just had max Q. So with that call out, we now have 3 events coming up in quick succession, starting with MECO, followed by stage SEP, and then SES-1. MECO, or main engine cutoff, is where all 9 M1D engines shut off to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation, which is where the first and second stages separate from one another. Then stage 2 will continue to second engine start 1, or SES-1, and that is where the single MVAC engine lights up and propels the second stage to orbit.
Kill.
In addition to these 3 major events, the fairing halves will separate less than a minute after SES-1, so keep an eye out for all of those events.
Vehicle is following a nominal
up
trajectory
in around 30 seconds from now. And as a reminder, we will not have any stage 2 views of separation at the request of our customer.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed.
And we have confirmation of main engine cutoff and stage separation,
MVAC
SES1,
startup.
coming up in a few seconds. There it is. We are expecting to hear the call out for fairing separation in a couple seconds from now, but we won't see this. We will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves once they fall back down to Earth using our recovery ship, Go Beyond.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And we just confirmed fairing separation. And you also heard and maybe even saw those 3 events that happened back to back, which again were MECO, stage separation, SES1, followed about 30 seconds later by fairing separation. We'll be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today back on Earth with our recovery vessel, Go Beyond. And coming up in about 3 minutes from now, the booster will initiate its entry burn
Both
to
vehicles are
begin its
following
journey
nominal trajectories.
to the Of Course I Still Love You drone ship that is currently in the Pacific Ocean. Great call up.
And as you've seen, it's been a good mission so far for SpaceX on support of the NRO. Because this is a classified payload, that is why we're not getting those views of the Falcon 9's second stage. Neither of the payloads themselves, nor of the, Merlin vacuum engine itself. Now 4.5 minutes here in flight. Coming up, the first stage entry burn will begin at just about 6 minutes and 6 seconds. That'll be a 21-second burn. Relighting 3 of the 9 Merlin Merlin engines on the Falcon 9's first stage. Slowing the vehicle down as it makes its way towards the drone ship. Of course, I Still Love You. It's a little bit hard to see, but you can, well, not in this view, this is internal to the first stage. But a second ago, as you were looking through the 2 hypersonic grid fins, you can see a little burst. This is, of course, ground tracking views from SpaceX. Views inside the Falcon 9 first stage. Or technically the inner stage. Those bursts you see occasionally are the cold gas thrusters that are used to change the attitude or the positioning of the vehicle, its orientation as it's making its way down toward the drone ship. We're just about 10 seconds away now from the start of that entry burn. So SpaceX has ignited engines 1, 5, and 9, according to their commentator. You can see the speedometer now continuing to now slow down. As the Falcon 9 first stage booster is also hitting some atmospheric drag as well. Here, a call up from SpaceX that both the Falcon 9 first and second stages following nominal trajectories, so continuing on course as planned. So far, so good for the NROL-146 mission. Coming up in less than a minute at about T plus 7 minutes and 51 seconds, be the first stage landing burn. Now just about 10 seconds away from the start of the landing burn. And there you can see it beginning here on your screen. Views from the drone ship should be coming up shortly.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And you see for a 16th time, this Falcon 9 first stage booster, tail number 1071, has launched and landed and is now safely on the drone ship. Of course, I still love you. It's a nice little extended view of their fire suppression system. Nice extended view here of the booster on the drone ship. Lingering just a little bit longer.